will incorporate all those things of sleeping with hungry stomachs in them.
Let me finish, and then I'll allow you.
If you've got any wisdom, put it in. If you don't have a point,
so you
stop
feel that this is wrong.
people here thinking that you're making a point.
Yes, that is why I was telling you, Jeff.
How should we move forward? How do we solve this particular problem?
How will our KCPE certificates look like? With hunger inside.
Is she the one now interfering
Honorable
me?
Sankok.
Or are you the one interviewing me?
Honorable Sankok.
We cannot have women.
I want Sankok just to tell us how
the most successful people in this world are not necessarily those who have gone to school. I have examples of Bill Gates, Thomas Edison, and so many, even our own, like Nasonga and the rest that we know. But anyway, what I was saying is that the suggestion is very simple. That CBC, which will come and solve these issues. But before CBC come and solve this issue, then we will be ranking only probably counties, probably even have standards of every school. That we have schools that are in grade D, for instance. We have those schools which are in grade A, just like what we have in national schools. And then say grade A schools have performed this hammer. And we see what facilities do they have, infrastructure, the teachers that they have, the teacher-to-student ratio, and so on. And then we rank the schools first of all, and then we'll rank them on that. And then we'll also have a kid from a very poor school who have been studying under a tree. These are the schools that have been studying under a tree, and this is the best performer in that particular condition. And that will solve.
Let's look at
the nation. School,
let's look at the nation. CV. Okay, so you understand the power of privilege. What does it say? It says
private schools stop.
Private schools. Why private schools? Because if you're given a better environment to study, you'll perform better. This is nature, and we cannot argue with nature. The truth of the matter is, if you went to your KCPE or KCSE in good health, your stomach is not running, your head is not aching, your back is not in pain, you're being dropped in school, you'd perform better. What we need to do to fix this country is to decide what is a classroom. Let's start there. Yes. Because there are some places where the classroom does not exist. I've been to those places. And for me, my heart bleeds for the kids I go see in Baringo who cannot even go to class because they didn't have a glass of water to give them enough energy to walk across the 40 kilometers it takes to get to school. Those are the realities that we have to face. So until and unless we begin to address what is a classroom, what is the student-teacher ratio, those things, and we're beginning to provide equitable resources to students, then we can't do such a ranking thing. And I agree with Joy Mdivo when she says that, oh, people need to be ranked according to performance. Yes, those are people. But the government's responsibility, society's responsibility, is to give everyone an equal playing field. So when you're playing on the same playing field and you score more goals, we'll congratulate you. But the truth of the matter is, I'm thinking about the kids I'm sponsoring in Baringo, and I'm looking at them and thinking, some of them are in class 4 now, 4 years from now, they'll probably sit this exam. They have no chance of getting 200 marks. I'm telling you for free, no chance at all. Because of how the school is, the number of teachers, the hardship they're going through. So we cannot ignore in this middle class bubble that we like to live in this Nairobi, where it's Kileleshwa and Buruburu that exist, and Korogosho does not exist. Let us consider a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and the weakest links in this country are not being considered.
Yes. Okay, let me get to, I'll come to you, Joy, because all of these
just
are...
Just one statement. It's like telling Gor Mahia today to go and play against Liverpool. Is it possible? and tell them, and insist that Gor must win.
One thing
and if Liverpool wins, you make it a headline.
One thing the panel this morning seems to be missing is this. Such is life. None of us on the same pedestal as far as life is concerned. We are all stratified. There is no time when you'll all have equity for everybody. That is a mirage. It's something that we think about.
What is
listen, I have a point and I will make it. When we are in life and we are teaching our children, what you teach your children
we cannot
is how to
our
do their
kids
best
simply
in
because
life
their father worked hard
with what they
or
have.
their father did
And
not
what happens is, even if your child, like I grew up in the ghetto, and my parents told me, where you've gone is the best. That's what you have, it is the best. And I had confidence in that which I have. I live right now in Langata, and I drive through Kibera, and I look at some of those children in Kibera, and I know that they actually are going to make it better in life than my children. Why? Because they have learned early on Some skills that my children don't learn in private school, they can take care of themselves. They can get themselves from point A to point B. My children have learned that a lot later in life than those children. What it gives them, there's some learning that's not learned in class. We're behaving as if only what they learn in KCPE sets them up for life. That is not correct, by the way, because there are things that you learn, for example, when you're fending for yourself, when you have struggle, when you've worked for that 120. By the time you get a small opportunity somewhere, you excel so much more in life than a child who sat there, was told, Kababa, read. The day you're by yourself in university, that's a kid who flunks over and over. And follow this, that's why I said, follow these children through. You may find somewhere on the newspaper now, because the circumstances were so good. By the time you get them in Form 4, there's something different. Follow them to university. That's why you find what Honorable Sankok was saying, that you have people like Bill Gates who dropped out. That tells you it's not the exam. This is not a magic pill. This is a standardization tool. It helps put all the children on one platform. Let's see from here, how do you go from life? We have to understand as parents. Our children need to understand these realities. We are not all dealing with the same pack of cards. And the sooner that they learn that, and they learn to work with what they have, you will find that our children, when they're grown-ups, they're successful grown-ups because they got what they needed with their station in life. If everybody had the same thing, would we even be here talking about our struggle?
Okay, wait, Mark, wait, Honorable Oda. What I wanted to ask
even as far as public and private schools are concerned, in other jurisdictions, public schools receive a lot more investment than ours do. Ours have not received much more investment since they were established. How are they going to excel over the private schools?
And that's why, Joe,
it's
probably
a
the question that's been
government.
asked is that if the government doesn't have the capacity to standardize or this particular primary school as it gets to to KCPE, should they go ahead and rank these same students who they very well know they haven't been able to put an equal footing for all of them?
Look at the marking of standardization. It's the syllabus. That's the standardization. It's the exam. That is their standardization.
Jeff,
what we are talking about is the facilities. And the thing is this.
You know, we cannot be insensitive of the poor kids.
Joy.
It
Who is
the
being
poor
insensitive?
Kids,
Joy.
It is you.
It's
the
a
poor
common
kids
sense
have
approach.
no crime. They did not commit any crime to be born in poor backgrounds. And it is us now to criminalize them for being born in poor backgrounds by making sure that
Jeff, my argument is very simple. If then we agree with Joy to some level, then Joy, what we are asking, where is this kid who did his class 8 in Kapenguria and scored 281 marks? The ones you're saying...
Against all odds.
Against all odds. The ones you're saying will be end up at Alliance or a Stare and will score even sometimes better than this 440.
Where are they here?
Where are they here?
Where?
That's what you're asking. Number two,
there are millions
number two, you are
students who did
talking
the exams.
about...
Will they all be
you
here?
are talking about slums. No, we are not saying all of them, but can you even sample a few, even 5? We want to see them here. 2, Joy, we are saying, you're talking about slums. We have no problem. But how many who are in the slums, even me, I grew up actually, the day when I was doing my class 8, you know, I remember that time, I used to roast maize up to 3 I used to do my class 8. Then at around 3 p.m., when guys are going back to class to revise, I go back to roast maize. I can't even remember the same spot. But the question is, yourself, myself, Sankok, and our brother, some of us at least we had the energy to work hard and go through. But do you know how many were demoralized and never made it through?
Some even commit suicide.
Some even died. So what you are saying, we don't want to demoralize our kids by splashing big marks here, ruin what? I mean, can we remain silent on this if you cannot rationalize the whole thing?
If we have to flash, we must rationalize.
Yes.
We must say there is a kid who went to a classroom that did not had mud walls.
And like a small story.
And there was one teacher for 100 students, and that this is a day school, and that he traveled 10 kilometers to reach school, and that is in a very rural area. This kid had 200 marks. He's better off than
or even
those
281.
Let us have them
and
also
the media must be roped in. Even media, we can't let you go free on this. Because these are your papers. These are your papers.
Let me give the last soundbite on this particular issue. You know, I must admire Sankok for his kids go to public school.
Kids are young goats, they're children.
Children.
Why should you correct that? They are kids. Mine are kids. Yours are children.
His children.
My kids.
his young ones.
Yes.
His silence.
Mark, as we
If
proceed,
you want to know my command of English,
As we
that's
proceed,
what is
Mark.
in measure here. He takes them to public schools.
Throughout.
And as a legislator, he's able to say the issues that bedevil public schools. It is our role as society, Joy, to bring equity in every circumstance. It is the role of government and society, those of us who have been privileged to get this position, to create a platform for those who are disenfranchised by society. That's why societies exist. When we say that schools are not equal, that's not true. Go to places like Sweden. Go to places like Finland. You tell me whether parents even choose schools. You go to the school nearest you because the standard is the same. You can close your eyes and just run your fingers through and just stop in any school. You'll get the same standard. That's why those countries are succeeding. We cannot compare that system here. Because if we continue down your path, we'll say, you know what? If your parents are rich and can afford you a better education, good. If your parents are poor and they can't, shauri. The whole point of developing a country is what? We are developing a country so that there's equal footing. That's why you develop a country. So the very essence of the Millennium Development Goals is what? Equity. So you cannot say that just because the system is giving you a chance, it's going to work. Otherwise, let's stop developing this country, because then it does not make sense.
But this is the system we have.
Why are we building roads in Turkana? To bring equity. Is it because Turkana is a big
Equalization
business?
fund.
Moyale.
Look.
Why do we have equalization funds? Why do we have an ESAL fund?
Why do I?
You know, what we are talking about here, by the way, we seem to be missing one point. We were talking about why the children are being feted in the newspaper. Why are they here?
We're talking about this and the
why are not the
ranking
other children
that's
here?
that's going on.
And what we're discussing here is in the failure of people not having an equal pay, which I totally understand. The thing that I don't seem to understand is, will we stop doing KCPE because all the children are not? Will we stop celebrating the ones? That's what I'm saying. Right now, this is what we are dealing with. This is our reality. If you look here, when we decide tomorrow, for example, that everybody must go to public school, are they even enough to take in the children? Private schools play a role in giving people an opportunity to even learn. We saw that the precious talent school that collapsed. When they were told to close down the school, the parents went to protest. No, let the school be opened again. Why? Because this is the only place where our children can go to school. The facilities we have are not enough. What we are putting in public schools, even the ones that are there, the ones that are few, is not enough. Private schools actually play a role in bridging that gap. If a parent is able to pay an academy, even if it's a modest academy, and they're able to take their child to school, will not their child be criminalized? The way we talk about criminalization, let's use the same word. Will they be criminalized just because their parents can be able to take them to an academy? The ones who put in the extra hours, because this thing is effort. That's what I was saying, our children, let them be celebrated. The ones who did not make it, it's this time round. Eventually, you will get celebrated. And like I said, even if you do not get on the newspapers, there are those children who still go on to be very good performers at O level, those who go to be excellent performers at university. With time, your metal shines through. People can see you for what you're worth. When I was doing my KCPE in Shaurimoyo, nobody knew my name. Look at me sitting here. There are some kids who did in Makini and they were number one and they were on the newspaper being lifted up, and they're not here now. Life has a way of rewarding effort and rewarding hard work. That's what we should be teaching our children, that just keep at it. Just work hard at it. Or you are not in the newspaper. Encourage them. But this mentality of every child should get a certificate of participation for just existing, sometimes it's what makes our children very entitled and makes them not understand the special awareness. They don't have a special awareness of where they exist in the world today.
Jeff, to have money is nothing about the kids. You know, we are talking about kids here being run. We are not talking about their parents being run. So my sister, if you are blessed, that is yours. It's not for your own kids. If I'm blessed, it's not for me. It's for me. It's not for my own kids. My kids and the poor kids from the village must be ranked at the same level. All factors must be factored in. By the way, Joy, my 12-year boy was in a public school and scored very good marks. Maybe you came late when we were celebrating the young boy. So the private schools, the public schools are enough for all of us if we only decide as members of parliament, first of all, and as anybody who is working with a government, let us lead by example, because you cannot work in a government that you don't even trust its own institutions. Let us have the president have their own kid go to a school in Turkana. Let us have a cabinet secretary, even if they have money. If they have money and they are not able to legislate to have a level playing ground, let us punish them by having all kids from all members of parliament, all kids from anybody who is working in the top management of our governments, have their kids in public institutions and have them being treated in public hospitals. Let us not have insurance cover for members of parliament. Let us not have insurance cover for the president, because he is running a government and the government have its own institution. If you get sick, just go to that government institution, because you are the one who controls that government institution.
We have some tweets coming in as well. We have Bonane saying, this is like sports. After running, you emerge the winner, so you should be ranked. So Ikosawa leave the counties out of this. It's just a vessel that they're using to still rank them, even if they went in that direction. Joseph Wandera saying, let's not be pessimistic about our children. Let those who have gotten A's be celebrated as well in this particular circumstance. And that's an issue we want your feedback as well on at K24TV. Let's quickly just move this forward even before we get to our second break this morning and talk about the highlights in terms of what CS Magoha was giving in his speech as he announced the results. One thing that he came out to talk about the fact was that it was devoid of irregularities. There wasn't any cheating that's going on. Is this also a symptom from what you're talking about, the immense pressure that these Damocrest academies and all other schools have to get this performance and get this student on the front page? And that's how this cheating comes up, because we need to be on the front page again.
You know, let me tell you, the fact that teachers and parents are involved in cheating is probably the biggest problem we have in this country, that the people who are in charge of teaching these children virtue have lost the plot. If a child is taught by the mother to steal, then you give that child, because they got 430 marks, and you give them a chance to be a civil servant, what do you expect they'll do? They'll steal. Yeah, right? So what we are doing is we are creating a culture where winning is more important than the process by which you won. And that's a very dangerous thing, because you must teach in these children the discipline of hard work and the discipline of merit. On top of that, let's not forget that more and more we are relegating parents to school fees payers versus parenting. Because some of these kids have been in school from January, had 1 week break in April, 2 days break in August. Their parents saw them at the end of the month, and they began immediately complaining on social media, why the children are home, what are we going to do? That is another crisis waiting to happen in this country. If you look at the number of parents who complain about people who came out from their loins, that should tell you that there's something really wrong with this society. My kids are homeschooled, so I see them all the time. I do not have a panic attack just because holidays are here. I do not sit listlessly on Sunday wondering what am I going to do with these errant children that I'm raising up, because the only thing that I've given them is education. We need to reinstate the role of parents in bringing up our children. Okay. Children are not just supposed to learn ABCD. They also need to learn respect. They also need to learn family values. They also need to learn how to be loved, because many of them have no idea how love feels like, and the only idea of love is money. And that's why they get spoiled. They get spoiled because we love them through money. And those are some of the issues that we need to address, or else in the next 20 years, the kind of people we'll be bringing up will be quite crazy.
Joy, the premium that we've been talking about as far as performance is concerned, the fact that the CS, for somebody who probably just landed in Kenya when this was going on, would wonder, okay, is cheating that rampant? Is it the only thing we talk about? And what causes that pressure for, as the CS said, it's not even the children who are cheating the candidates, it's the teachers and the parents in collusion to make sure this happens. How do we move this pressure off? Because it seems it's all the way down. And that's why we have the CS having to talk about the fact that it was devoid of irregularities, no cheating took place, and this is a national examination.
Remember the point that I made earlier about schools even having two separate streams of exam centers because of that same scenario. When schools were using ranking as marketing, then you have got parents who also have a certain, they want to hold themselves in a certain esteem, and so want to assure that their children get into certain schools or into certain spaces. And I think the ministry is trying to address those things. First, by having exams that are marked so quickly. Because remember before, exams used to be released like on the 29th of December, thereabouts. It gave ample time for people to fudge the results. Because, I mean, the speed with which these days they're released, it tells you, by the way, there was no big magic then, because the numbers are even less than they are now, and it used to take so much longer. That was time to fudge the results. Then secondly, the other thing that has been divested is the selection system. That these days you wait and you get the communication and you go get the letter and you take the child to school. Unlike before, where you could actually shop around the different secondary schools and try and get your child slanted in. So those are the things that are trying to reduce that pressure such. You just know we have a 100% transition rate. Every child is going to be placed in a secondary school. Just wait and let us see where you're going to be placed. Okay. So those who don't want that to happen, for example, will do what Mark has done and what I have done, is take our children out of 844 and say, you know what, as gays are going to do this thing different. But the ones who subject themselves to KCPE, then there is the logical conclusion of how this goes. There'll be a selection. The selection is not up to, like before it used to be, you know, you used to know if I've got top marks here, I'm going to go to Alliance. I've had kids, like we have a school at church on which I'm on the board of that school. One of our top performers got selected to a school in Nyeri. It was a national school, but it was in Nyeri. None of us had ever heard of it. And she was like, oh, should I go? Is it a good school? When she went there, right now she's in university. It was such a lovely experience. Until now, we are no longer apprehensive about where our children land, because we have realized there's some equity in it all, actually. At the end of the day, when that happens, then you find the pressure to say we had 10 kids going to Alliance eases. But over and above that, and that's the point I was trying to make earlier as well, we need to also help our children understand this is not everything. There's the things that Mark was talking about. There's some of those life skills that will give you more success in life than your primary school certificate. And if our children can get that in their system and get good self-esteem, and that's why I'm very grateful for CBC, because it also exploits talents. Okay. We've seen somebody like Maruiga. He was not very strong academically, but he's been able to harness what he had got outside of his certificate to make a success in life. It's one of those things we need to and help our children also understand. KCPE, mommy, is just a paper. KCPE is just a paper. But at the end of it, when you're done with life, how you treat people, how you work hard, how you get your own and eat your own, those are the things that give you the spice of life.
Okay, we're going to take a short break at this particular point. When you come back after the break, I'll have Honorable Sankok and Honorable Ouda weigh in on this particular scenario in terms of the fixation that even the government and the CS had to bring out in terms of cheating and irregularities as far as exam is concerned. And also, as we speak about that, we talk about the former AG Wako, wife and son banned from the United States over graft. What does this mean even as we move forward? We discuss that and plenty more after the break.